As you may be aware, maritime transport, shipping and ports are the backbone of the global trade and economy, vital for the supply of energy and strategic goods, but also of all sorts of goods we are using in our everyday life. Shipping is resilient, traditional, but adaptable. Shipping connects societies and people. Any one of you who comes from an island or has been on an island would understand what that means. But at the same time, it is a responsible sector which understands its role when it comes to social values, including those relating to climate and environmental protection. Welcome to the Introduction to EMSA Traineeship program. My name is Maja Markovčić-Kostelac, and I'm the Executive Director of EMSA, a European agency located in the beautiful city of Lisbon, established 22 years ago to support, to facilitate, to engage for safer, secure and sustainable maritime transport. And indeed, EMSA's mission is to serve the European maritime interest by ensuring a safe, secure, green and competitive maritime sector while acting as a reliable and respected point of reference in Europe and worldwide. Although maritime transport is one of the safest and greenest transport modes, it is still not enough. That is why maritime transport is now going through substantial, deep transformation towards smarter, cleaner and safer sector, which will at the same time be competitive and able to continue to serve Europe and the globe. It is a challenging but exciting time, and EMSA is an active part of it. At the same time, the world is facing the deepest crisis of multilateralism since the Second World War. Wars and security instability have an impact on shipping, and EMSA supports the European Union member states, the Commission, and the industry in addressing these serious challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, aspiring maritime experts and curious young people from across Europe, this is exactly why it is the right time for you to join us. You can be a part of this change and give your contribution in this crucial moment in time. At EMSA, we are not only the center of excellence for a safe and sustainable EU maritime sector, but we also empower the next generation to shape the future of maritime safety, sustainability and digitalization. We invite you to join us on this journey. The traineeship is an opportunity for your future professional development, but also an opportunity to be part of the great maritime sector in this very unique moment. An opportunity to address real challenges, collaborate with industry and institutional experts, and contribute to impactful initiatives worldwide. Whether it involves tracking vessels and building a digital maritime picture, supporting oil spills response, facilitating decarbonization, or delivering training services, your skills and talents will be recognized and appreciated at EMSA. You will also see firsthand how the European Union institutional framework functions at its best. The EMSA Traineeship is setting the sail. Get on board. You are welcome. See you in Lisbon.
So, good morning everyone, and thank you Maja for your inspiring words. Welcome everybody to this Traineeship Open event. My name is Armando and I'm here with my co-host Lucy and our friends from HR. Today we have a packed event. We will start a bit by interviewing our HR colleagues with matters related to the traineeship event. We will take a look at the positions that are available for this 2025-2026 edition. And then in the end, we will interview two of our current trainees that will give us a bit of an overview of their experience in this traineeship event. Lucy, would you like to add something before we start?
Well, just to say, we're really happy to see everyone here for this online event today. As Armando mentioned, first of all, we're going to be speaking to Hazel and Martina, who work in HR. And then later we're going to be speaking to two of our trainees. So I think we can get started,
Yes.
yeah?
I just wanted to add one thing. This is besides the fact that it's a live event, you'll be able to post questions on YouTube. We will monitor them throughout the session, and at the end of each of the two sessions, we'll be able to answer not all of your questions, but the majority of your questions. So do not wait at the end to publish or to ask anything. We will be monitoring them throughout the whole event.
Okay. So Hazel, to get started and to have some guidance on the application process, could you let us know who can actually apply for this traineeship program?
Sure. So firstly, thank you for having us here this morning. It's very good to have the opportunity.
We're
to
very
discuss
happy that
all
you're
things-
here.
So to answer your question, to apply for the traineeship, candidates must have EU citizenship of the EU member state, Iceland or Norway. We also ask that candidates have completed at least the first cycle of university education, acquiring a university diploma or its equivalent by the closing date of applications. It's important to note that the university studies must be completed at least 3 years, no longer than 3 years before the deadline of applications. We also ask for a good command of oral and written English, so to at least a B2 level. Unfortunately, you trainees, they can't be part of an Erasmus program or similar, because candidates must have completed their university education to be eligible. And you can only carry out one traineeship at EMSA. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Hazel, you were mentioning about the first cycle of learning, no, of education. Does it mean that, for example, if someone has finished this bachelor and then has worked a bit and then he did a master degree, is it the bachelor that count in the 3 years, or is the latest?
It's the latest.
It's the latest
Yes,
education.
so at least 3 years before a diploma, and then you consider it.
Okay. And these are the conditions, let's say, to be able to apply, or the preconditions, let's say. But how do a trainee would, a potential trainee would apply for this traineeship?
So the trainee can apply to the online portal with an online application. Make sure to complete all the fields, because we cannot accept any application that is sent by email. Make sure to have the right diploma for the position, for the unit for which you are applying for. And for example, if you are applying for the communication traineeship, then you might have a degree, a diploma in a graphic design, multimedia, communication. For example, an international relations degree will not be accepted. And in order to complete the application, they must send the certified diploma, a copy of the certified diploma, either a paper document that has been legally certified, or a digital copy sent directly from the university, in which they present their diploma by email by the deadline of the traineeship.
I think here there are two main points to highlight. So the first one is that despite the application process is done online, completely online, a potential trainee, a candidate still needs to send a copy of the diploma by email.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is very important to be highlighted, because the
Both of them by the deadline.
both of them by the
Yes,
deadline.
otherwise it's considered incomplete. So it's not enough to send your application via the online platform by the deadline and then send afterwards. No, we have to have a completed application, both documents, by the closing date. Otherwise, unfortunately.
So this is something that's very important
it's
to
very
highlight.
important
Both of
to
the
know.
things need to be sent by the application.
Exactly.
Yes.
And the second very important thing that I would like to highlight is also what Martina was just saying, that we have a variety of positions available, and you might want to fit in one or the other position. Later on, we will have a possibility to look at all the positions that are available for this for the internship. You mentioned about the diploma and the application is completed in time.
Yes.
When is the deadline for application?
So the deadline for applications is the 26th of May. But we strongly encourage you not to send your application on the last day or the last hours, just so that we can be there to support you and follow up in case you've any technical problem or questions.
Okay, so but let's imagine somebody has a problem, like say with the application, the online application. What should they do in that case?
So if you encounter any application problem, you can send you can contact us by sending an email to the traineeship at emsa.europa.eu.
Okay.
And we're happy to assist you and follow.
Okay, so do you have any tips for candidates on how best to complete, say, like the form, how best to complete their application?
Yes, we have quite few. I have quite few I can think of.
That's good.
So first of all, be very detailed. They have to be, the candidate has to be very detailed. Think about all your experiences with studies abroad, studies at your universities, thesis, Erasmus programs, whatever. So be detailed in mentioning them. Also mention personal skills or communication skills that you might have, because they are as important as your diplomas. One other suggestion is that they are asked to provide 2 preferences for 2 units, for 2 positions, and we suggest for them to complete both of them, even if they strongly want one more than the others. Complete the second option, because it can still be an opportunity to work at EMSA and then maybe be involved also in the other unit. And lastly, but still very important, to write a good motivational letter, in the sense not just include few lines, but really express your motivation, because I think it's what makes the difference.
Okay.
And I think the point that Martina was mentioning about having a second option, sometimes people may think that it's not a good idea to put a second option, because we might think in their mind that they are not as motivated to go on, and that they would apply for anything just to have the position. That is not actually true. We do value at the same weight the first and the second choice.
Yes, indeed.
Sometimes it's just that for the first choice, probably that position is filled, but maybe you are very well suitable for the second option.
Indeed,
and
yes,
we will consider it. And this has happened every year.
Indeed,
That
yes,
happens,
yes.
that sometimes trainees are chosen on the second choice.
Yeah, but I think that's why it's equally important, from what Martina was saying, to put lots of information in the motivation letter and detail the motivation letter.
Yes.
Sell
Because
yourselves.
given, say, the number of applications that we might receive, you know, the information that you've got in your motivation letter might be the thing that makes a candidate stand out more than someone else.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Okay, so let's imagine that the deadline has passed. Can you give us a bit of information, a bit more detail on the selection process?
Sure.
please?
So a selection committee is created and established before the traineeship is launched. And then once the deadline of the application of the traineeship closes, then the selection committee will go through the different applications, compare them against the criteria that's laid down in the call. For example, they might check the different diplomas against what was requested by the particular units in the traineeship notice. And then they create a list of candidates, and then they are sent to the particular units, and the units themselves then are responsible for, let's say, the selection and going through the different applications. Okay, so then an online interview, or let's say an informal chat, will be had with the shortlisted candidates. And then this is just to assess their interest, their motivation, to check any clarifications that might be required, and to check their language of English.
Okay, so it's not like a formal interview.
No.
It's more of a, say, like a chat between the unit that's interested in the trainee, the potential trainee, to get a feel of a trainer.
Nothing to be afraid of. Nothing to be afraid of.
Exactly, but just to get a feel of, like, say, their language skills and their interests and their background and everything. Yeah.
And then it's the executive director, in her role as appointing authority, who appoints the trainees.
Okay.
But either way, an information letter will be sent to all candidates to inform them whether they've been successful or not, and that's why they're on online platform by their account.
This is very important because even if you have not been selected, it's always very good to know the outcome.
Indeed,
Yeah.
indeed.
They will not receive a feedback on the application,
No,
right?
No, given the volume of candidates that we expect to receive.
It's complicated. But already having a
But
knowledge.
you will have the comfort in knowing that you have been, and of course, you're always welcome if you are unsuccessful. You're always welcome to submit another application next year or another time. It doesn't rule you out.
Yeah.
So yes, we invite you to.
Yeah.
So we're taking things by step. So this is the selection process, and how does it work in EMSA? But let's say once the selection process is finalized, the letters have been sent to the successful candidate. When does the traineeship actually starts, and for how long does it last?
I can jump on that.
Yeah.
Jump on that.
So the traineeships last for 1 year,
Yeah.
and it begins on the 1st of September, so until the 31st of August of the next year. We really want them to be completely involved in the work at EMSA and in their units, because we believe that getting hands-on experience makes it the best experience for them. And so yes, it is important to also underline that they will not, as I was mentioning before, that's why it's also good to put the second option, because probably they will not just work. We want them not to just work with the colleagues with which they work on a day-to-day basis, but also to be involved in other projects, in other units or with other colleagues.
Okay. That's very interesting, and I have another questions like to build on what you said. Let's say that I've been selected as a trainee. It's 1st of September. I enter in EMSA. How is the first day?
Okay, so the onboarding and induction of trainees is fundamental in order to ensure their smooth, let's say, arrival and integration into the agency. And this is something that EMSA recognizes and gives great value and importance to. So on their first day, they will have a meeting with HR.
Okay.
And we run through different practicalities and procedures, give them a quick overview. And then they will be given a tour of the agency. They will be given their access badge. Then they will have a meeting with ICT to receive their different equipment and maybe a training in the different applications they will need going forward. And then they're accompanied to their unit, where they will meet their advisor, their head of unit, and the rest of the team. The advisor will play a very important role throughout the 12 months of their traineeship. They're there as a guide, as a support. They're usually a member of their team. So their role is to help them settle in to their unit, to the work environment. Tasks will be discussed and established, and then the advisor will be there to guide them throughout their work and throughout their traineeship of the 12 months.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
So
It's good that they've got that support person there, as well as, say, like the integration within the unit, that they've got a specific person.
Yeah, we're very conscious that very often the trainees are here, let's say, alone in a new country. Maybe the first time living, working abroad. So we are there to support them both personally and professionally, and I think the smoother the process is, the better that they will get the opportunity both personally and professionally. So
And they will also participate to different events, both at EMSA and external and internal. The internal, for example, they visit at the MSS, they visit to all other units. The visit to the E-Lab.
They actually visit this facility from where we are having this open day.
It's great,
But also other opportunities to meet maybe other trainees or other colleagues from, for example, the European Union agency that we have right in front of our own, the other one in Lisbon, the drugs agency, or NATO, for example. They usually go visit NATO, and then the NATO trainees come visit us. So there are many situations in which they can connect and find a network. And also, for example, we offer guided courses of training on how to update your CV, how to apply to European jobs, and so on.
We're happy to
I mean-
give them as many opportunities
Yeah.
as they wish, and to
Yeah.
get the best
Make
out
the
of
most
it.
out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely. I think that the whole idea of the internship in EMSA is built on tiers. So on the one side, you have your professional
Yeah.
experience that you can gain within your unit. And on the other hand, you have a glimpse of the European Union as a whole and how the institution work. You have the possibility of visiting other international institutions like NATO, for example,
yes.
and at the same time building up also how to build your professionalism. Like
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
we have cross department unit
Yeah, I was-
work as well.
Exactly.
So
Okay,
if you're
yeah.
interested, you can learn from other areas as
Yeah.
well. So yes, we're
And so, like, in relation to, like, say, like the integration within the unit, well, within the agency, it really sounds as if they're going to be working alongside other colleagues, sort of like at agency level, but also sort of like within
Yeah.
the unit level. So
Both in
taking,
their teams, and then in their unit,
Yeah,
and then
great.
in department, and then among
Great.
departments. So,
great. So, but taking that into consideration, what are the working hours for the trainees? What are those like?
So trainees, just like us EMSA staff, are expected to work a 40-hour week. So this is on average an 8-hour working day. We have flexi time here at EMSA, so meaning staff can vary their start and end hours day around the expected hours in which they're expected to be available. We also have trainees can telework from the 4th month, and we also have a number of different public holidays and annual leave. They can have 2 days of annual leave a month. And we have a number of EMSA public holidays which the trainees can also enjoy.
they can
Great.
also enjoy. So yeah, this is more or less to have an idea of, obviously the working week is from Monday to Friday.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And then just talking about the telework, I assume that initially during the first few months, it's really important that they get to know their team and the agency as a
It's a
whole.
training
That's
period.
why,
At the
exactly.
beginning, it's
Yeah.
a training period,
Yeah,
so
just
they need to
Yeah.
To support them
Yeah.
in their
Yeah.
integration.
So that's why the
integrate, to
telework is,
understand their work, and
Yeah.
then they can be able to do it by themselves, maybe at home.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and they can
Yeah.
telework from Lisbon.
Yeah.
Normally staff have to be in the office up to 2 days a week,
Okay.
meaning between 1 and 3 days, then they can telework in line with the agreement of their head of unit and
the set and
the-
the supervisor.
the needs
Exactly.
of the needs of the service.
And that's from the beginning of the 4th month.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
Up to,
Great.
up to then we think you're up and
Yeah.
running. You're,
Up and running. Yeah.
It is obvious that it is always suggested, at least for the trainees, to spend as much time in office, not
Yeah,
because
exactly.
they obviously have the
Exactly.
right to telework after the 4 months,
Yeah.
but
exactly.
given it a period of 1 year that they are in the agency, we suggest that they enjoy at the fullest their time in the office.
yeah, they get to
Exactly.
meet their colleagues. Then they're familiar with the procedures, and they're not so isolated.
space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I want to go back a bit on a second on what Martina was mentioning before about the possibility of trainees actually following training. So what opportunities do we give in terms of learning and capacity building to the trainees once they are
So
on
they
board?
have language. We have available language courses for them, of different languages, French, German. We suggest to follow the Portuguese one in order to also be integrated in the community, not only at EMSA but also in Lisbon, in Portugal. And also professional or soft skills trainings can be suggested by their advisors to participate to, if they think that they should, or if the trainee is available.
Okay. Let's go a bit on an administrative point that I think everyone is interested in. Do trainees have a salary?
Yes, so trainees receive a grant every month of approximately €1,359 a month, and it's usually paid by the 15th of each month.
Okay.
So to receive their salary, you must be an account holder of an EU member state, have a bank account, and it's not particularly necessary to have Portuguese bank account, so just as long as if you have a bank account in an EU member state.
Okay. So that's, say, like the financial side and things, but do the trainees actually receive any document or say document at the end of the traineeship to say that they've carried out the traineeship? Because that could be useful for future employment.
They will receive a certificate mentioning when the start date, the end date, in which unit they were involved in, they were employed in, and all their tasks. So that is very important and all listed.
Trainees also receive travel expenses if they've been recruited for more than 150 kilometers or more, and then this allowance is calculated on a flat rate based on distance, and then it's usually paid at the end of the traineeship.
It's basically that allows them to buy their flight tickets or train tickets to reach to EMSA. So on top of the grant that they receive monthly, they also have an allowance, let's say a travel expenses allowance to support them to reach and to leave Lisbon.
Exactly.
And let's go a bit on diversity and inclusion. Do the agency have any policy for disability or for trainees with disabilities?
Yes, we do. So trainees with disabilities may receive a supplement unpaid in addition to their grant, and this is up to a maximum of 50% of their monthly grant. To acquire this, they simply need to submit a justification proving their disability, and the agency can make other adjustments, such as the particular equipment that they might need or whatever, to support them in order to get for them to participate in their traineeship and have the best outcome.
Okay. And just to give a bit of an overview to our audience, does the agency do anything in the area of diversity, equity and inclusion within EMSA, let's say?
Yes, indeed. Yes. We're very proud to say that EMSA promotes an inclusive environment where we hope that all staff members can feel comfortable being themselves. That's very important. For an example, we have EMSA Network of Pride, where a group of colleagues support our LGBTQ plus community, and to raise awareness by different events and similar things. We also have an EMSA. We also participate in EMSA Transport. Women in Transport network initiatives, set up different activities to promote the next generation women and underrepresented nationalities, so that they can encourage and enter the maritime sector. We're also part of the European Commission Women in Transport, and this is an EU platform for change.
And I noticed that in the traineeship call it says that we aim to have at least 60% of female trainees.
Yes,
and I noticed that was one of the indicators through the Women in Transport EU platform.
Indeed, yes, we always try and seek a minimum of 60% of women.
Okay,
thank you very much for the answer. I think it's very important for the audience and for everyone to know that obviously, being it an European agency, we strive for diversity and inclusion as much as possible, and we are united in diversity.
And this was recognized last year. We received a certificate of excellence and diversity and inclusion, so we were very
That's very good.
So,
yes.
But I've just thought of like one more thing, say like on an admin side, which is equally as important.
Of course.
How about the health insurance for trainees? So do trainees need to have their health insurance for this?
Yeah, they do it. It's mandatory. They can stay with their own national health insurance that they already have, or anything of their choice. But they will ask to bring a proof of insurance. That is important.
Okay, great. So I think we've covered quite a lot of the admin side. Can you think of anything
I
else?
don't think so. I
No?
think that salary has been covered,
Yeah.
allowances have been covered,
And leave days,
and leave
holidays.
days and holidays, so everyone knows
There's a
that they
balance.
have leave, they're entitled to leave
Exactly.
days, they have a salary, and they have a travel allowance.
Exactly.
We will see later on the comments if there is anything
Yeah,
else. In
exactly.
any case, we will look at it in a minute.
But then why don't we move on to the logistical part? Because I think that's just as important, isn't it?
Now it's
Really?
the fun part.
Exactly.
Yes, let's start with the most complicated question.
Yeah, well, I
Where?
think it will be the most important question, yeah.
Very
Yeah.
complicated and the most important, I
Yeah,
think.
exactly.
How do you find accommodation in Lisbon? I mean, what suggestion do you have, and how do you support the trainee that has been selected, let's say?
Sure. So when the trainee accepts their offer, HR will send them an informative email with a welcome pack, and in this welcome pack is a list of recommended websites for accommodation. We recommend you to follow these websites because previous trainees have already had positive experiences from them. So yes, can also put you in contact with our current trainees, and they can exchange emails or WhatsApp messages to help best help you with accommodation. So
I think besides knowing the different websites that are available, which you will share, one of the big advantages is the possibility of being in touch with the current trainees. Because,
Definitely.
definitely they have gone through the same and they know best how to deal with the housing market in Lisbon, which is a bit complicated. So
yes, we recognize how it can be difficult. So indeed, yeah.
And as we'll be speaking to our trainees, two of our trainees later, they could maybe give some more feedback on
absolutely.
this. Yeah.
I think that would be a question that they will
Exactly.
they will ask.
One of the
No,
most,
we're happy to support the trainees that way.
Great.
And when it comes to actually, let's say that you find a place and you have a contract, you want to sign a contract with the landlord for the house or for the room, do trainees need any sort of registration documentation from Portugal or from abroad?
So it depends. It depends on the landlord. They might be asked the NIF number, which is the Portuguese fiscal number, but no worries about that because EMSA will help you get it. Or they might ask to prove their salary, for example. So we will either they can prove their grant with their traineeship offer, or EMSA can also provide a document, a certificate stating that you are receiving a grant, and so you will be able to pay your rent. So
Okay.
This is generally not only needed from the trainees, but from everyone working
Yes.
here.
Exactly.
I myself have been asked to
I
prove of the
struggled
salary,
myself.
and so
Exactly.
it's not only for
Our
trainees.
HR
No,
colleagues
so
are
it is.
familiar.
It's like common practice.
Yeah.
But then, just to give an idea to say, like the viewers today, what are good areas to live in?
So EMSA, past trainees have enjoyed living in central Lisbon, either on the Green Line, anything from Anjos, Santos, instead more closer to here, or along the river, Tejo, for example, Alcântara or Algés, Graça also in the Green Line, because we are situated in Caixo do Sodré, which is a very central area where there are trains, boats, trams, buses, everything is connected here. So as you can see in the map, the Green Line, it brings you right to the office.
If I can jump in one second on the commenting on the map, since many of us have been living here for a while.
Yes.
As you can see, basically EMSA is located close to the Caixo do Sodré, station of the green line. So you have it in green, and it goes from to the city center, which is by Sechard that you see there, then Rossio, Martimonich. All that area is actually quite good for accommodation, let's say up to Alameda. But as you can see, Caix do Sodré is also the hub for the train line to Cascais. So anything that you find on the train line from Caix do Sodré to Cascais is also a good area. You have those
Across the
blue
river
line.
also.
Sorry?
Across the river.
Across the river also. When you see those blue line jumping out of Caix do Sodré,
Into
those
the
are
water.
into the water. They are not tunnels, but they are the ferry line that from Caix do Sodré reach out across the river. So as you can see from the map, Lisbon is a big city, not quite big, but still you have a very well connected. You
and
have
the public
different lines.
transport is very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And reasonable.
exactly, but it's also, I think, reasonably
Reasonable
priced
price.
because you can get a really good monthly travel card, can't you?
Yeah, exactly. Because the metro card is the travel card for any type of transport is 30 or 40 euros, depending if you want to have the both
Yeah.
included. But it's really cheap.
No, it's a
30
big
euros.
No, that is,
It's a
that's,
big
it
plus,
is, and
yeah.
it's really easy to use, isn't it? So
You just need to charge it once a month. It's 30
exactly.
euros, and then you can go
Yeah.
anywhere, anytime.
Yeah. So by way of an example, I mean, I live on the Linha de Cascais, so that's leaving Cascais going along the beaches, which are beautiful.
Which is a lovely
Yeah,
ride as well.
exactly. So that's really nice in the morning and also at the end of the day, just to go along that train
Yeah.
line
Yeah.
along the water, and I pay 40 euros.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I can
mean-
use the trams and everything else as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's like the area, but then I think equally important is obviously the price.
Yes.
Do you have any indication of what, let's say, the price of a monthly rent is? Maybe if we concentrate mainly in sort of like, say, like Lisbon area.
Yeah, our current, it varies obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously.
But our current trainees are paying between 450 and 700
Yeah.
a month
Okay.
for accommodation. So yeah.
Of course, it depends on the
Depends
area
on the-
and how
Yeah.
many people are in the apartment. If you're renting a room, if you're renting an
Yeah.
apartment.
Yeah.
And then I suppose whether, like, say, utilities are included, like water,
In
electricity,
the most expensive
gas.
one, they usually are.
Mm-hmm.
In the
into that,
450, they might be excluded.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be
The
something
additional.
around, again, 30 euros, not that expensive.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah. That is just to have a ballpark figure. in
Yeah,
any case, and
exactly.
to give
Yeah.
an
Exactly.
overview of what it could be.
Yeah.
And since we mentioned that the agency is located right across the river, like on the river front,
Yeah.
could you tell us a bit how is the area around, if there is things to do, and how it is located, EMSA? Because obviously from the map you can't understand whether it's in the city center or if there is
No,
any
exactly.
amenities, let's say,
Yeah.
around.
No.
No, it's a super nice area to be. Because it's full of restaurants and cafes where you can go at lunch or after work whenever you want. Gyms, everything is the supermarket, everything is closed. The main shopping streets of Lisbon are 5 minutes away walking. Tourist attractions are also 15 minutes away. Beautiful beaches, as you were mentioning, with the train line are at 20 minutes. The first beach you have it at 20 minutes. We can go on the weekend or also after work, why not? Because
Yeah.
and as we were mentioning, it's right between all the travel links, so it's easy to get anywhere.
Yeah.
You very often hear music around the streets as well in the summertime,
And I was
Yeah.
just thinking, I think
So-
something that's equal, which is good to mention as well, is that on the metro line you can get to the airport in what, like 20 minutes from
yeah.
Caix do Sodré?
Yeah.
So for the travel connections in that sense, it's really good.
There are
as
also,
well.
I would like to mention that there are Bolts or Uber that are
Yeah.
really cheap here,
Okay.
cheaper than other.
There are many parts in
Yeah.
Europe.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and in 30 minutes max, you are at the airport.
Yeah. And as you can see from the screen, that background that we have, it's actually one of the windows in EMSA, so you can have a glimpse of what is the view
Yeah.
in some parts of
Yeah.
the
very
agency.
lucky.
So
Yeah, very lucky.
I think that we have given a bit of an overview of all the administrative and logistic things.
Yeah.
If you don't have anything to add, maybe we can start reading some of the questions, and we have, let's say, 5 minutes for questions, and then
No.
we can.
Yeah. Let's go to questions. Yeah.
So, for example, Maddalena Mendes, she mentioned that she would love to work in EMSA in the future. She's a third-year law student with a post-degree in EU law. Should she do the master first or the traineeship and then the master, for example?
Okay, so I think it depends on what diploma, specific diploma, say the unit that she wants to apply to asks for.
With the
Yeah.
legal-
For two, they would be requiring a master.
A master.
of
So
laws.
yeah, so the say the unit that deals with legal affairs is requesting a master's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
If she's
it's
thinking
really
4.2.
important. Yeah, it's really important. I think that they check. People who are interested check the traineeship notice and
And
really
very carefully,
see
yeah.
this specifically what the degree is and what level the degree is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And make sure that let's say their master is completed before.
Yeah.
Of course. So I think that it's very important to read very well the notice, so that
Indeed.
to be able to know without the let's say the requirements. So Theodora is asking if one has a degree in something more general, like international relations, however has relevant working experience specific to the role, are they considered?
Well,
Again, you'd have to really look at what the diplomas requested by the units.
Yeah, there are some eligible criteria. So and those are the main ones. If you don't have a degree that is mentioned there, then I would apply for another position, for another unit maybe, and then you can use your skills and relevant experience to work as well in the other unit if you want, for a cross collaboration. But it is important that the eligible criteria are respected.
yeah.
Alice is asking, hello, I graduated 1 week after the deadline. I think she will graduate 1 week after the deadline with a master in IT and learning, and I was specialized and have specialized in maritime education. Is there any way I could still apply? I hate to miss this opportunity by 1 week.
Is the master's or the bachelor?
I wouldn't know.
No.
No, with a master. So she probably has a.
Yeah.
She has probably a bachelor then.
Yeah. So this is what is important from what we were mentioning earlier, isn't it?
Yeah, that if the last degree is less than 3 years ago, then she can apply with that. And then mentioning that the master's is ongoing, but she can apply if the last degree is the latest 2023.
But it has to be completed
Yes.
before the closing date of application.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
If she's finalizing her master,
Masters,
probably
yeah.
she already has a
then
bachelor.
she has
Yeah.
indeed.
So-
She's completed
Yeah.
the first
So
cycle.
exactly. So if she had her bachelor's and she completed this no more than 3 years before
Then
this
she can-
deadline, and then what would be really good for her there is, as Martina mentioned, is for her to mention maybe all of the skills and the subjects that she's covered in her master's, even though she hasn't completed it yet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Also because from what I read, master in IT and learning, I know that we have a couple of positions open on
Yeah.
this,
Yes.
Yeah.
so that could be relevant in any case.
Exactly.
So
Absolutely.
what I
Exactly.
suggest for you, Alice, is just be sure that you
Yeah.
have already completed the bachelor, which I think if you have a master, obviously, if you're getting a master, and then you can still apply as far as the bachelor has not been completed more than 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
detail the different modules.
Yeah.
Anna has a similar question, so I think that this is replied, but I will read it
Okay.
anyway. Hello, I will finish my master degree within a couple of weeks. However, I will have a diploma only in August. Is it sufficient if I submit an enrollment certificate with an estimated graduation date? I think that no. However, if you still have the bachelor within
Yes,
the 3
again.
years, you can still
Yes.
apply. It's not important to have a master unless the notice or the unit specifically requires so. It's the latest degree that you have acquired.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that you're currently doing a master. As far as you have a bachelor degree, that is within the 3 years.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Maddalena Mendes makes a very interesting question. What are the functions of the law department? How is their day by day? And do they have to travel for work?
Okay.
They don't travel for work, that's for sure.
No, so So like say the tasks and the functions for the traineeship in that unit will be mentioned in the traineeship notice. But then furthermore, on EMSA's website, we have the mission statements of all of the units, don't we?
Yes,
So,
yeah. So have a look at that. It's detailed.
Exactly, it's a bit more detailed there. Matteo Viviani asks, is it possible for people who already took part in a traineeship an EU institution to apply?
Yes.
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 yeah. It's only not possible if someone's already carried
Carried out.
out a traineeship period at
At
EMSA.
EMSA, yes, you can't do more
Yeah.
than one.
But
other
in
than
a
that-
different EU institution or body or another EU agency, they could still do another traineeship here,
Absolutely.
but they can only do the one,
with
if
us.
as I recall correctly.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And a lot of people are asking, and I was expecting this question anyway, is there an opportunity pathway to go into a permanent role after completing a traineeship?
Yes, we have many staff who have continued the path. Martina is currently an interim. Yourself,
I am as well.
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
So yes, you would have to apply externally to a specific call for applications.
Yeah.
So by all means, the traineeship is 12 months, but obviously we publish different calls in different areas on our website. So you would have to apply as an external candidate via the platform for the specific call for applications. But yes,
Yeah.
But it's important to mention, and I know that firsthand,
Yeah.
that is not an automatic.
No,
there is
no,
no way an
automatic.
automatic
No.
No,
transfer
unfortunately.
from a
No.
traineeship to a permanent role.
no,
No.
I
unfortunately,
had
not.
my experience. I did my traineeship in 2012 to 2013, and I came back in EMSA only in 2017. So
Yeah.
you obviously can, especially if the role is fit for the position that is
And you
open.
gained all that experience during your traineeship,
Yeah.
but nevertheless, you can't apply internally. You have to apply externally and for a specific call for
Yeah.
application.
So, as Hazel mentioned, if candidates, say for example, carry out a traineeship, or maybe they've already carried out a traineeship, we also have, say, like positions published on our website for, say, contract agents and temporary agents. What's really good about the traineeship, though, is that because they receive the grant and it's remunerated, it can be considered as professional experience.
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah.
definitely. This is the one. As far as
Yeah.
it's paid, it's considered
Yeah,
a
that's
real.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed, yeah.
Christine asked us if it's possible to put two options. For those with a law degree, it seems only that the legal area is applicable. I mean, obviously, yes, you can apply to two, but you need to be sure that the position is relevant. I mean, that the
That the
degree
diploma
is
is
relevant for
relevant,
both of them.
yes.
There is no limitation on the fact that you can apply to two,
No.
but then it depends obviously on your background. How long will it take to hear back whether we have been selected or not?
Okay, so we would expect that candidates should have a reply by mid-July, we would hope. So yes, the closing date is the 26th of May. The committee will do their work, the unit will do their work throughout June.
Of course.
That's all scheduled. So yes, we would hope to have information for you by mid-July.
Yeah. Madalena asks, working at EMSA gives access to the internal EU opportunities, like to go to other institutions or agencies. Obviously,
In the
not
sense of
directly.
visiting
No,
or-
again.
Not directly. And again, I think what's important is that if anybody is exploring that option, they should go on to, say, like the institution, the EU body's website to see
Yeah.
what the possibilities are of applying for their vacancies there as well. There's no, say, as
There's
was
no direct
pointed
link.
out, there's no direct
No,
transfer
no.
of people
There's
or
the-
movement of people
There's
between.
an EU careers
yeah.
website which they can check all the particular vacancies
Yeah,
that
yeah.
are open in the Commission and other institutions and agencies.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
And Philip mentions, is it feasible to write the master dissertation in cooperation with EMSA about an issue it is dealing with? Well, that is not really related to the traineeship in the sense that...
No, but by way of information, say like all of the EU institutions and agencies, including us, in that context have particular rules on, say, like outside activity and asking for permission, you know, to
Publications.
exactly for publications and things like that. But that would be another step in the future, I think.
Of
Yeah.
course. And Kara asks, good morning. Does the candidate need to be unemployed in order to submit an application? Does the mentioned limit of work experience refer to experience in a related field?
No, so there's no particular work experience
Yeah.
required. So this is open to young
Because
graduates.
it's a traineeship.
Yeah, so we don't expect work experience by no means. So no, you don't need to be employed, Philip, and no experience is particularly required. So
Exactly.
you can have experience in other areas, let's say, you know,
Yeah, like we were mentioning the
Yeah, I was gonna
Erasmus programs or other
say,
courses
yeah.
that you
the
did outside
different
university.
modules that
Yeah.
you've
Anything, everything.
Yeah.
participated in
And I think-
university.
Yeah, and I think earlier, Martina, you mentioned as well that the importance of, like, say, mentioning the
Also soft
personal
skills.
skills,
Yeah.
communication skills,
Yeah.
Yeah.
skills that maybe candidates have learnt during
Yeah,
their
extracurricular
studies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 That all
Yeah.
counts.
Panos has a very interesting question. It makes a lot of sense. He asks whether do certificates that are sent along the applications need to be translated in English?
Not necessarily.
Not for the not for the application
No.
process. No, they don't. If they have, all the better. They can supply that afterwards. But for the application process, no.
Sophia
As long
asks,
as it's as it's in an EU language.
yeah, as far as
then
the
we have
new
somebody
languages,
that can
that's maybe
translate.
it's very good to
Yeah.
mention it.
Yeah.
As an interim in the legal department, will there be an opportunity to work on maritime law / related matters?
Okay, so I would say that again, we're not really the experts on that. It would be important to look at, say, what's mentioned in the traineeship notice.
However, I think it's quite fair to say that the legal department in EMSA does not necessarily work on maritime legislation per se, like drafting or anything. It's more related it's more a support role for the agency as legal department, like in terms of procurement, in terms of
Sure, but as part of the, let's say, the cross-unit cooperation,
absolutely.
there could be opportunities there if you are interested. You could speak with a particular head department or area maybe, so that could be a way.
But there may be, say, again, as you mentioned earlier, then it's important again to look at the traineeship notice, where you mentioned as well, Martina, that the specific diplomas are mentioned, and there might be maritime law mentioned there, so candidates can have a feel of whether maritime law would be involved in the functions and tasks.
Ivio asks us if there is any accommodation provided for the trainees. The answer is no.
No.
Oh, you have to look at it.
We'll do our best to help you, but no.
Yeah.
Gabriele asks if a previous working experience would be considered as a positive aspect in the selection process.
I mean, any experience that you have, anything that you can prove that you've done and that you are the best fit for a role, it's welcomed. But it's not a matter of, I think, if it's work experience or studies.
Yeah.
But of course, it's positive. To mention.
Sure,
It's
it's positive
important to
to
mention it.
mention. No,
To
I
mention
mean,
everything you've done.
Yeah.
Sophia asks, I have law, I hold an LLM in international business law and an LLM in maritime law with a legal background. Would there be an opportunity to contribute to the law enforcement aspect of the MSS unit? Sophia, I think that what you should do is just really check what the traineeship notice mentions for every specific unit. And if you find anything that is suitable also for not only for your background, but really for your interest, and it's adherent to your academic background, just go for it.
Yeah, 100%.
Marta asks us, hello, are there any positions available for someone with a background in international relations?
It hasn't been specifically requested, I don't believe, as a required diploma for any of the particular units.
I think it's again, the main thing
It's
is just
very
to look
broad.
at the
Yeah.
traineeship notice and see if it's mentioned or anything along
Yeah.
those lines. If
Yeah.
it's
Also maybe on
mentioned.
your
Yeah.
international relations degree, you have a major in something that is related
Yeah,
to
look
something
at the
else.
look at the modules. Maybe
Everything is
maybe
mentioned.
they might be able
Exactly.
to relate and
Yeah.
tailor it to particular.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And here I have someone that is actually complimenting us. It says that here, as a former trainee, I super recommend the traineeship, amazing seating and amazing
Great.
people. Thank you very much, Ushia.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Hi, Ushi.
Ushia. Hello, I would love to work at EMSA, however, I can't make it this year, unfortunately, but could I really apply this round and start working in 2026? Unfortunately not. You need to wait for the next call.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Eugenio, are there, we're almost finished, I think, yes. Eugenio, good morning. Are there factors other than previous master or traineeship that might contribute to the selection process?
Nothing.
I wouldn't say
Again,
no.
what we've said before.
Yeah.
Just to really detail your background, whatever highlights. Sell yourself.
Yeah, mention again,
give
like
as much
you know,
detail as we
If
can.
you feel like also the fields are not, you cannot fit all this experience in the fields that are left there on the portal, you can write it in the motivational letter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
opportunities to mention.
Yeah.
And Timea, what is the best unit to apply for considered that I studied international relations? Again, you should look at the notice so that you have a bit of an overview of what could be. Dario asks, I'll be taking a B2 exam in English, I guess, in June. I have already spent a month living in England in the past volunteering. Would it still possible to apply?
Yes.
We don't really ask for a certificate of English, right?
No. So you will be through, let's say, if you're a shortlisted candidate, you will have the online interview, and we can establish as well your English level. And obviously, then when you have, Dario, your English certificate, feel free to send it to us. That's no problem at all.
Can I apply for the traineeship if I'm currently in an integrated study program and will obtain my diploma in August? My university doesn't issue a bachelor degree after the first cycle. I think no. No, because you need to have a completed degree.
Absolutely.
Within 3 years of the application. Yes.
And you have to have that diploma sent to us, the certificate, but before the deadline.
And this is the same answer for Maria, which asked, I completed my bachelor in chemistry 4 years ago, but I obtained 3 certifications in learn management recently. Am I not eligible? I think only if the certifications are really a degree and not a certification. So we take into consideration only degrees.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think as you were saying,
As eligibility criteria.
Yeah. So you were saying earlier, as long as candidates have completed a first cycle of university education, i.e. like say the bachelor, then they're eligible, aren't they?
Yes.
So if they do more studies after that, it's fine, but they just all have to have been completed at least
Within 3 years.
within 3 years.
If it's ongoing, if the master is finished, if it's ongoing, anything is good.
Of course.
Work experience, everything.
Detail.
Yeah. Let's have our last question.
Okay.
Does everything you put forward in your motivation letter or application, such as volunteering experience, be substantiated with a document? I know this is the case with the Blue Book traineeship.
So once, if you've been offered the position and you accept the position, then we ask you to send all your relevant documents. Let's say that is detailed in your application. We ask you to send them to us via email.
Yeah, I think this is a very good point. Like that, we don't ask all the certification and documentation in advance, aside from the degree.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, you'll be asked to provide documentation once you have been selected and afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that this part
Great.
would be completed. Lucy, what do you think?
I've
As my great co-host.
Thank you. No, I just wanted to say thanks to everyone for the questions, because
Yeah.
they were great questions.
Yeah,
as
a
well,
lot of
weren't
questions.
they?
I'm very glad
So-
that we had this time to go through all of them, actually.
Yeah, and I'm glad that we could answer them.
Yes, absolutely.
As
And-
well, yeah.
Yeah, and first of all, for all of you, please stay tuned. We will have a 5 minutes overview of all the positions available for the next traineeship call, and then we will have 2 of our current trainees with us that will answer some of our questions and some of your questions. But in the meantime, please, thank you very
Yes,
much.
Thank
and
you.
great
Thank you,
having you
ladies.
here.
Thank you.
all.
Thank you. Thanks
you.
a lot
Thanks for
for
having us.
Yeah.
being here and for being as
Our pleasure.
open and available to all of the questions
Our
that we've
pleasure.
asked you
And if you have any
today.
other questions, we're happy to answer them. So,
Yeah.
And we look forward to having your applications.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So for all of you, stay tuned and see you in a couple of minutes. Hello again.
Hi again, everyone.
Hello, everyone. So I think that you had just a bit of an overview of all the positions available. I mean, obviously, these have you had the title of the position and the title of the unit as well, so you can easily reference them in our website. With the name, with the number of the unit, you can easily find on our website what the unit does, so that you have a bit of an overview and a flavor of what the unit does. And then in the notice for the traineeship, you have the possibility of knowing what will be your job, let's say.
Exactly. And also really important to mention, as it came up in the questions, what or which diplomas are required.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Really go and have a good look and familiarize yourself with it.
It's the best way to know better what you will be doing. Okay?
Definitely.
Everything is in the notice: diploma, the type of tasks that you will be involved with, and what the unit does. So now we're back.
Yes.
And as you can see, we have other 2 fantastic guests with us.
Exactly, who are very important because these are our two of our current trainees.
Yes, we have then Nina and Katarina with us. We will start right into it because I don't want to go too much over time and don't take too much of your time. I would like to know from both of you what made you apply for the traineeship in EMSA. We can start with Nina, maybe.
First of all, thank you for being here today. It's a great opportunity to share my experience and, of course, help new generation of trainees to apply. What made me want to apply for EMSA traineeship is because it's a unique experience to gain hands-on overview how it is the background of the EU legislation and also the maritime safety, environmental protection and policy implementation. So I always wondered what it is like to see the work behind ensuring maritime safety in EU and of course across the member states borders. What EMSA does, it aligns very well with my education coming from a nautical background. So for me, this is a great opportunity to develop both professionally and personally.
And now you, Caterina.
Thank you, Lucy and Armando, for having us here. Well, my situation is different from Nina's. Since I am a marine scientist, I have a scientific background. So I wanted to keep my options open and I wanted to gain more experience in administration work in the office, and this seemed like a good fit. So here I am.
Okay, great. So, Nina, can you tell us a bit about what you're actually doing here at EMSA? So, like so say people who are viewing today have a better idea of, like, say, the functions and duties and
Yes,
things.
of course.
And also a bit your unit as well. if I can
Exactly.
jump
Yes.
on it.
Yes. Important. Yeah.
Of course, at EMSA, I am supporting the work of my unit, which is visit and inspection the human element. The main task of my unit is to support and also to check that member state legislation is aligned with EU directives, which is regarding to the certification and training of seafarers. So what we do, my team in my unit, and also I had the privilege to go and experience and see it for myself in the first hand as well. They go to the maritime administration, also educational institutions like faculties, universities, and also training centers. And then they check that everything what is done is aligned with EU directives and also the international STCVW convention regarding education and watchkeeping. My everyday life and my tasks combines of doing preparations for visit, also help if they need it with doing the reports, some small data analysis, and also sometimes I get to participate in the member state meetings with member states. So all in all, it's a great opportunity to learn both maritime perspective and the educational one.
Right, that sounds great.
It sounds
does,
very
doesn't
good,
it?
yes, and very adherent to your background as
Exactly,
well, having
yeah.
a background in
Yeah.
nautical background.
But now I'm interested to know, how about you, Katerina?
Well,
So
for
can
me,
you
I
tell
work
us?
in sustainability unit.
Okay.
Our main goal is to actually lessen the environmental impacts of the maritime sector. And we work in a lot of areas such as decarbonization, sustainable alternative fuels, and many more. But briefly, one of my tasks is to update the chemical data sheets that are related to hazards while transporting chemicals. So if there's a hazard like an oil spill on the sea, you have authorities who need to deal with that problem. And we, as EMSA, need to provide them with as much as information as we can. And that information ranges from characteristics of such chemicals, first aid, health precautions, or which pollution technique to use.
Okay.
Technique.
This is very interesting because it gives a
is,
bit of a
yeah.
flavor of also how different backgrounds are integrated into EMSA.
Definitely.
Ian has a pure nautical
Yeah.
background and is working in a unit that it's very maritime in nature with visit and inspection, the checking of the legislation, the STCW convention. While Nina, Caterina instead is more related to the sustainability and the unit of dealing with sustainability,
Yeah.
which has a completely different focus. So despite the fact that
Yeah.
EMSA is called the European Maritime Safety Agency, there is a lot of aspects that we deal with, and it's a plethora of activities that we do in the maritime sector.
But what I think is really interesting, is just from listening to both of you, is how current, like, the topics actually are with
Yeah.
what you're dealing with as well. So that's nice to hear.
It is,
Yeah.
it is. And let's talk a bit about how life in the office is, and how did you find the integration within your unit, within your colleagues, within the other trainees,
Yeah.
within the agency in general, let's say.
Okay, well, the integration was very, very easy because everybody is so welcoming and caring. There are really no wrong questions to ask, and they really make an effort to make you feel seen and to value your input on the matters. So it was extremely easy for me.
The same goes for me as well. The integration was very smooth and welcoming. My colleagues were always open for questions, for helping, the guidance if needed. In the beginning, there was introduction to the team and the work that we are doing, so that meant a lot for me, for getting hands-on with the experience, but also the people I work with. But nevertheless, everybody was really kind and supportive, so that means a lot for me.
Okay, and obviously, being an European institution, someone may feel that the environment is way too formal. Did you find that to be true, or how did you find it?
Well, it is formal to an extent because we are all professionals here, but the conversations you have with your colleagues, it can be very informal. It can be like you're talking with your old friends. So I think you have the best of both worlds because you get things done, but at the same time, you can really enjoy your time here.
That's true. For an EU agency, of course, there is a professionalism and a structure that needs to be followed when the work is involved. But outside of the work, when the work session is done, there is also conversations and the time for socialization and other activities that are less formal than the work itself. So it's the environment is really warm and welcoming.
So can I just lead on from that? So, to both of you, what have you been enjoying about your traineeship experience so far?
Well, a lot of things.
Good. Yeah.
I have enjoyed the people I've met here, the experience I have gained. Honestly, working in an office is good, especially in EMSA because we have this amazing terrace where you can enjoy your lunch. You can also boost your confidence on the other hand because you get to participate in a lot of conferences and meet people from your background which are professionals, and I feel like you don't have that chance every day. And I think I enjoyed most the fact that this traineeship will be really good in my CV.
Yeah.
Well, same goes for me. I'm really enjoying the knowledge that I'm gaining, especially for the professional growth and the development of myself. But also on the other side, I'm enjoying beautiful city of Lisbon, the Portugal, exploring the activities that I do in my free time. Like I get to cycle, I get to run, I get to be active. I have friends I can do that with, and I have gained a whole community here. So for me, has been a home outside my country. So it's really nice to be here.
Okay,
Oh,
that
that's
is
nice to hear, though.
very good to
And it's
hear.
important to hear as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And now we discussed a bit life in the office and how did you find it. Nevertheless, maybe some of our audience is more interested or as well interested in the life outside the office. So
I think they are interested.
how? No,
Yeah.
because obviously, I mean, we
Yeah,
have European
exactly.
institution and agencies around all over Europe. But when it comes to EMSA, which is located in Lisbon, how did you find life in Lisbon outside the office? Did you find the cultural activities? Did you find the fun activities to do? How is the nature? Tell us a bit more. How is this?
Well, I think that the life outside of office is great because Lisbon is a city that has so much to offer. I feel like I'm here more than a half of my traineeship, and I feel that I still haven't seen and experienced everything that I wanted in this city. I personally love to visit museums, to go to garden parties, to go to the beach, and my list goes on and on and on. So it's pretty great, I'm not gonna lie.
No, it's true. Lisbon is wonderful. There are so many opportunities like cultural festivals, also the weekend flea markets, and there are the vibrant nightlife, the beaches, hiking opportunities. So it's really wonderful. It's easy to make friends. The community is big, not only with the trainees from here and from other EU agency, but also the other students and Erasmus that are out there. So it's never dull moment, never boring moments.
Oh, that's good. No,
And there are also lots of say music festivals and
Yes.
events as well.
Actually, if you're very interested
Yeah.
in music festival, Portugal is one of the
Yeah.
best place
It
in
is.
Europe where to have a music festival. They're very good in organizing them. There is a wide variety of them, and all around the
Yeah.
year, especially in the
And
summer, obviously.
exactly, and lots of them are open air, so you
Yeah.
get to enjoy, let's say, like the Lisbon weather
The
as well.
majority of them. And
Yeah.
Portugal is a great surfing destination, just in
That's,
case
yes,
you would like
yeah.
to pick up surfing or just try, I mean, as
Yes.
to do some lessons.
Yes, just try in my case. Can I just ask, because I know that say like as part of the onboarding process, and also sort of like during your time here, there are activities that have been organised. Have you actually taken part in any of them? Could you maybe tell us a bit more of if you've taken part in any of the other activities that EMSA has organised?
Sure, of course. I mean, there's a lot of activities organized.
Mm.
But for example, we visited one of our pollution response vessels.
Oh, great.
We met the crew. They gave
Wow.
us some good food. It was great.
I like it. Yeah.
We visited the NATO base. We
Mm.
met their trainees. We exchanged experiences, contacts. It was quite
Mm.
great. We went to the Christmas party, the famous EMSA Christmas party, and we are eagerly awaiting for the summer party. Nina and I, we went to the Diplomats Bazaar, and I think there's a lot of opportunities to enroll in like sport activities and cleanup activities, and I'm sure there are many more to come.
How about you, Nina?
It's also, as Katarina
Yeah.
said, I participated in all the events except in the beginning of the traineeship. There was also a team building day organized by EMSA, so we get to have a part in it. There we met all the colleagues in the beginning of our traineeship, so it meant a lot. Also, on the other hand, we visited the ship for the pollution response. We still didn't have, but it's on our list to have a traineeship hike and also a sail with the sailboat. And there are, as Katarina said, other activities that are more or less voluntarily, but you can always join in with, I don't know, walking challenges or cycling or hiking. For example, we had a preparation for the Christmas party, and we will be having the same for the summer party. So it's really a nice opportunity and a lot of things to do.
Yeah,
That's nice
that's,
as well. Yeah.
It's good to know that in any case, trainees have the possibility of having some other activities. Some of them still related to the job or not, but they expand a bit their experience in Lisbon, also professionally speaking.
No, definitely. And also as well, because like from the sound of it, a lot of the activities allow you to integrate even more into the agency and into, say, like the Portuguese community outside of work as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So both of you have been successfully being selected as trainees, obviously. What advice would you give to one start applying, even for the application process itself?
Okay, so for the motivation and the application, I would advise to not just rewrite your CV, but to actually mention the things you are interested and try to connect those interests with your background. And because you'll never really know what can actually land you the job, always mention every experience you had, even though you think that experience is not really relevant. It is relevant. If you feel like you don't stand a chance, apply either way, and don't be discouraged if you don't get an answer right away.
I would say go for it and search a bit of what EMSA does and what EMSA is all about, because it's important to make a good impression on interview. There can be such a question. Also, on the other hand, tailor the application towards what is in the traineeship notice, what is more what the unit itself is looking for, what they are expecting. So of course every experience, something doing voluntarily or some other modules or what you're interested in can be really beneficial for the application itself. It's not just the education, but also the side things that you gain experience in. So don't be, as Katarina said, don't be discouraged and think that some things are not as important. Just put them in, and it might be a good thing to have. For example, the teamwork, the social skills, the soft skills, they all benefit to your application.
Okay, that's great. So that's the application process. But what advice have you got perhaps for trainees that are successful and would start in September? What words of wisdom have you got on for them for the September start?
So I would say to enjoy the traineeship.
Mm.
They may think it's long, but it's not long. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay
Yeah.
to make mistakes. We are
Indeed.
here to learn.
Yeah.
Meet as many people as you can.
Mm.
Because coming to a different country can be very, very hard, and meeting good people when you're alone can be very hard. So just open yourself up to experiences, to people, open yourself up to challenges, because it can get lonely, but it doesn't have to.
Yeah. No, those are very good words of wisdom. How about you, Nina?
I would say work-wise, be productive.
Mm.
Don't hesitate to ask questions. Be open-minded. Show that you care, and then you have the will to and eagerness to learn. But also on the other side, enjoy Lisbon. Enjoy this wonderful time. It's cool because it's not that you're a professional at this point, so you still can get to learn and enjoy your time. Also get in contact with, I don't know, the previous trainees or the current trainees.
Yeah.
With us, it can be very helpful to share the experience and advices, especially with coming and settling in Lisbon for the start, and also afterwards to know some pros and cons, what is good to have, what is beneficial, what is some tips and tricks that can make your start in Lisbon easier.
Did you have contact with your previous trainee, for example, or did you have the possibility to talk to some of them?
Yes, actually I did, and it helped me a lot because I knew from in advance, I knew which areas to look the accommodation from which
good.
sites,
Yeah.
websites to check and find.
Yeah.
Also, I've got a bit of an insight of what the work is like if I have to prepare something in advance. So overall, it means a lot to have a feedback on what you will expect, what is coming towards you. But for the first step, I think the most important is settling, finding housing and those first steps. The work-wise, the tempo, the beginning is really easygoing, because the start until you introduce to the team, to the work you're doing, that's not as big of a stress as moving and finding the house.
And let's say that this is the professional setting. What about settling in Lisbon? What would you have liked to know before, or which advice could you give?
So even before coming to Lisbon, I would suggest to ask around with your friends and family, does somebody know someone from Lisbon? Because when you actually get here, you have somebody to show you around which areas are good to find accommodation, which areas to avoid, which areas are good for commuting and so on, which are in your budget. You know, it's good to have somebody. If you're more bold, I suggest to find people online on Facebook groups, but be careful, of course. And
Be careful.
if you don't have anyone, you will receive the welcoming package either way, with all the information about settling in Lisbon. And as we all said, you will receive our contacts. We have some input in that. On the other hand, beware of the scams on housing platforms, because there are scams.
Oh, that's good to know.
Always check for verified and checked landlords. Always read through the contract when you're signing stuff. And what else? On the brighter side, if you love visiting a lot of museums, I would suggest to apply for the NIF number as soon as possible, because a lot of museums are free for residents. And apply for the Navigante card. That's really handy for transport.
So that's the travel card, yeah?
travel
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, that we were talking about earlier, yeah.
Yeah, the housing is the biggest challenge here, and because of all the tourism and all the students and everything, so the prices are a bit higher than expected. So as mentioned before by our HR colleagues, something to expect in that range of price. Also, it would be more than renting a room than a whole house or apartment, so they should be aware of that as well. There are some useful websites that are indicated in the welcoming package. It will be sent by the HR, so for sure that it's good for them to study and see through those websites and check everything. I would say not to pay anything in advance. That can also sometimes be a scam, and to have a contact with people to see what's verified, and it would be really good if they can come to Lisbon like a few days before and then check for themselves, or even make contact if they know somebody here. That could be really beneficial and make the everything easier. On the other side, as Katarina said, there are lots of cultural things that you can visit and see, and few Portuguese words and phrases would come in handy for everyday life, like in the transport, in the supermarkets, on the streets, so they can give themselves assignment to learn some Portuguese before coming in.
I mean, it's true that the majority of the people speak English in
They
this
do.
in this city.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, and
Yeah.
Portuguese is a beautiful language, and it would be good also to take as a positive experience
Exactly,
to learn
exactly.
a bit of Portuguese.
And it helps with the integration as
It
well.
does help
Obviously,
with
the
the
more you can
integration.
communicate. Yeah.
And let's say from your personal side, what would you take away from this experience? Like what you will bring home?
Well, definitely the knowledge I have gained. This will be very useful for climbing that career ladder, you know.
Yeah.
And the memories I have made along the way, the confidence I have gained, the independence, and of course the people I have met. They became my speed dial contacts in such a short time. So yeah, that's
Oh,
for me.
that's nice.
Same goes for me. The networking, the knowledge, the experience, a special experience of working in multinational environment. I haven't had that before, so it's really good for me for the future work. And also the confidence and independence I have gained by living by myself in a different country, relying all by myself, and then also the means of transport and the new country, new language, new culture. So I think it's a really good, both in professional and personal way of growing as a person and as an individual in this maritime sector.
Okay. So maybe just as a last question,
Yeah, sure.
is there any other advice that you could give to our potential trainee audience that we've got today that you think is worth mentioning?
Of everything we have mentioned, except that
Well, if you've mentioned everything, it's fine. But is there anything perhaps you want to add?
enjoy your time here, because it seems like it's a lot, but it's not. Be calm and collected. You don't have to stress about things. You don't have to take everything too seriously. You are here to learn. If you feel like you're not doing enough in the first couple of weeks, that is perfectly a-okay, because it's your time to adjust. Just try your best, relax, and be yourself, because I assure you, you're going to find like-minded people and you're going to find your place here.
Oh, that's nice. How about you, Nina? Do
I
you
would
have
say
any?
I would say the same, to enjoy as much as possible, because it's a really nice experience and opportunity to see everything you want to see and do. There is time for everything, and I would say go ahead and good luck with the application, and welcome on board the EMSA Traineeship.
Well, I think that is a very nice way to have finished that session with you, ladies.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that,
Really nice. Yeah.
thank you very much for being with us today, and it's been quite interesting also to hear a bit of your first-hand experience in your on your traineeship, and it is important to give a bit of a glimpse of what you're doing and how you felt throughout the first months of your traineeship. You still have until August, obviously, but that would be useful for who wants to apply, also to have a bit of a flavor, no? Like of the whole experience.
And thank you again for being so, like say, open with your answers and everything, because I think it does give everyone a much better idea, say from your personal experience, of what it's like here, not only professionally but also on the personal side, and what you've got up to outside of work as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we do not have actually any questions for this session.
Okay.
I think that everyone got it out at the first in the first session, bombarding as with each other. But nevertheless, first of all, again, thank you very much for being with us here.
Thank you.
I also want to thank our staff that has helped us to prepare this live session, and it has been so successful, I hope. For all of you, thank you for you to be with us here today.
Indeed,
to ask us so many questions. If I can say a couple of words, don't forget that the deadline for application is the 26th of May. That the traineeship is paid.
That you have to send the diploma by that date as well, by email to the traineeship email address.
Exactly. And if you have any issue, you can always contact traineeship@emsa.europa.eu, as you're seeing now on the screen. So These are the things that we can say. Once the session finishes, we will leave for a couple of minutes all the positions available on the screen, so you can take a look. Nevertheless, you find them on the EMSA website and on the application notice.
And just as a last thing to say, which is equally important, if you are interested in applying, please, please, please don't leave it right till the last moment, you know, and the last day, because if there are any issues, then we won't have the time to actually deal with it from the technical side. And obviously we want you to apply and to send in your application successfully.
Yes. And I think this is it for today.
Yeah, just to say thanks to everyone involved again. Yeah.
Again, thank you very much, and
Thank you.
we see you soon in the 1st of September, I hope.
Yeah.
Not all of
Take
you,
care.
but
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you. Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks a lot. Bye.